Stood deep within your dream, taking aim for your heart, so it would seem. Stand tall and read, go to hell and jump for paradise. Every time dangerous, dangerous, we like it serious, serious. Oh.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to One Piece the movie, Baron Omatsuri and the Secret Island. I believe that's what it's called, at least. I know it's Baron Omatsuri, yeah, and the Secret Island. It's the sixth One Piece movie, and is one I've never seen, and this is the last video for One Piece week as well. Um, Although I am recording it ahead of time for obvious reasons. So let's talk about this. So, One Piece the movie, Baron Omatsuri and the Secret Island is a pre-time skip movie. So, first, right off the bat, we are going to be dealing with the designs of pre-time skip Straw Hats. I don't know how far this goes in. If you remember when I did the movie reaction to Dead End Adventure, that was what it was called, Dead End Adventure. Bleh. That was pre-time skip, and they had Robin at that point, but they did not have Frankie or Brooke. So it's hard to say. I don't know who they're going to have for this movie exactly, like how far it goes, especially with it being movie 6. Another thing to note is that I do know that the movie has a different art style. In fact, it's kind of known for that. It has a very unique, interesting style to it that no other One Piece movie or special or any part of the series has. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays into things. As for the plot of the film, I know nothing. I know literally nothing about this film. I guess there's a secret island, and I guess there's a character named Baron Omatsuri. That's all I can guess. um, Obviously, the movies are not canon to the series. They are considered non-canon, just like any filler arc that we've seen. But I personally like to watch them because I think that they, while maybe not being canon, can still give some really fun adventures for our crewmates and can still just be enjoyable. Like, I like seeing the kinds of stuff they get into. And then there's some that are also kind of like questionable canonicity. Like, there's the entire thing with Shiki the Golden Lion in the Strong World movie, and there's even a special episode for Strong World as well. And it's kind of questionable canonicity with that. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be seen as canon or not, because I've heard like I've heard different people say different things regarding that. If anyone can clarify for me, but I've heard some people say it is that it is. I've heard some people even say that Oda said it was, but I don't know for sure. But like I know Z's ambition is not. Well, actually, I think that's like the special episode or something. I think the movie is just called uh, like Movie Z or something like that. Film Gold is not. Stampede is not. But yeah, otherwise, like most of the movies are not, except for the ones that are just remakes of arcs in the show, obviously. So, without really knowing anything else about this film or anything, like having no context to really go into, there's not really a lot to talk about. Um, but I felt it was a good way, nonetheless, to close out One Piece week. Just a fun movie to have fun with, simply enough. Um, so we're just going to get this started. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. First off, really sorry for the lighting. It's just like, it's the way it's like the sun is beating on here with the blinds mostly closed and all. Or curtains, not blinds, but still. Um, we're just gonna kind of have to make do. It's just because of the time I started recording this and everything, and the time the sun like starts to go down and everything nowadays during this time of the year. Um, so I actually looked up who the director of this was because I don't remember actually seeing that in the credits. I think I started checking out the credits a little too late for that. The director of this movie and the reason for its unique art style, animation style, is Mamoru Hosoda, who is exceptionally legendary director. Um, he is known for directing the Digimon movie from 2000, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Summer Wars, Wolf Children, The Boy and the Beast, and Mirai. Um, he also was a key animator for multiple Dragon Ball Z projects, a couple Sailor Moon projects, and even the Yu Yu Hakusho movie. But if you watch the R War Game film, the Digimon Adventure R War Game short film that was also part of the Digimon movie, you will see it is the same style as this film. And I was watching this movie, I'm thinking like this style looks very familiar. Actually, I never actually said it, but I was thinking like I this style, just the style of animation, even the way they moved and everything seemed very familiar somehow. And when I looked it up and saw like Mario Hosoda, it's like, oh, that's why. That is definitely why. It's definitely the same style I remember from seeing in the Digimon R War game story, and to a lesser degree the other works I've seen of his as well. Though I haven't seen everything of his. I know Summer Wars is a big one. I know that's basically like a non Digimon equivalent to the R War game story, but just an original work. I've never seen it, but I know it's really popular. I've seen Boy and the Beast and other stuff, but yeah. Either way. So this movie went in directions I was not expecting. Um, so to put the entire backstory into perspective, Baron Omatsuri and his crew were a pirate gang known as the Red Arrows. Um, some years back, I don't know if it said exactly how long, but some years back, they got into a horribly terrible storm. And the Baron was the only survivor. Everyone else died. Which, like, One Piece covers death. It's not afraid to cover death, but that's still very dark and sad. He was so upset and heartbroken by the death of his Nakama that upon just basically living at this island, he ended up falling under the trap of the lily carnation. The lily carnation is a flower, a living monstrous flower that can create these illusions of life as long as it's given sacrifices. So the Baron would send out these notices of this big carnival and everything, all of this big festival going on Omatsuri Island, and he would invite all these different pirate crews there. And when the crews came, he had his like crew all like recreated from like plants and stuff by the lily. Um, and he would put on these carnivals, these festivals, but then challenge the the crews, the different pirate crews that came to these various games and challenges, with the sole purpose of splitting them apart. Like the purpose of the games was specifically to drive wedges between the crew members. Because he was so upset by what had happened that he became disillusioned to the idea of a close knit bond between Nakama. So when he saw these different crews with having such strong bonds, He wanted to break them up. He wanted others to feel the pain that he did, which is very fucked up. Yes, like I'm not going to argue that what he did was very much wrong, and I'm not going to argue about like the flower being the true main villain to this all. But he was definitely bad, and he definitely did wrong here. But he kept bringing in these different crews. There was one like these mustache pirates he brought in, and he kept sacrificing them to the Lily Carnation. And through that, like all these different crews were dying and facing the same thing. That's why we saw those ghost ships and everything. There's the one dude, Briefs. His crew was killed this way, and he was the only survivor. He was living, uh, kind of as this single man resistance on this island, trying to fight back, but he knew he couldn't do it without anyone around. So when he found Luffy, it's like that's why he was so insistent on having him join him. Luffy and the crew came here because they received the same notice that so many other crews did. And then even this family, this young family of pirates, just a father and his three kids, even came for the same reason. And now they were all stuck there. The Straw Hats, the family, who I forgot their pirate crew name, by the way. I think it was something involving tea. Um, but those two, and then of course Briefs. And in the end, Luffy had to work with the family and Briefs in order to take down the um, the Baron and the Lily Carnation. Um, so yeah, the as I said, with Mamoru Hosoda directing this, with the art style and animation very much known for him, it definitely had a different feel to it than other One Piece films or just One Piece in general. And because of Hosoda's direction, it also felt just presented very differently. I mentioned that during the reaction. The presentation was definitely unique in the way that certain scenes were presented, in the way that certain perspectives were shown, and I think that made it really interesting. The story itself is pretty simple. A lot of the One Piece movies tend to have pretty simple films. Like the Dead End Adventure one, pretty simple concept, pretty simple story, not much happening. Same with this. Um, Except for like the big name films, like Film Gold, Film Z, Strong World, Stampede. Those are the ones that usually have the bigger storylines because they're meant to be bigger films. They're meant to be the like big, almost blockbuster level movies. But these films never really tried to go that route. They just tried to give a good original unique story. And while it didn't do a lot, I thought it was good. I thought the story was good. It was interesting. It had a good mystery element to it. And in the final act, it even went into straight up horror, which, by the way, the art and animation, the sound design, the voice acting, the direction, everything about that final act with the horror elements was so fucking well done. It's unbelievable. Like, it is unbelievable how legitimately terrifying Hosoda and the rest of the crew who worked on this made a One Piece story. It became legitimately scary in that final act, and I really like that. Um, I've talked about before how I really like horror themed episodes and whatnot in shows that aren't normally horror themed, like the episode Jack in the Haunted House in Samurai Jack, or Abracadaver in Powerpuff Girls, or uh, what's the episode called? The Puppet Master in Avatar: The Last Airbender. The shows, of course, are not horror shows. They may have like little bits of like things here and there that's like, okay, that can be pretty scary, but it's not actually horror in terms of its writing and theming and stuff. But they'll have these episodes every now and again in these kinds of shows that very much is horror. And I feel like that's almost what this movie was. Like, of course, in the actual show, we have Thriller Bark. The actual series has an entire arc dedicated to that kind of thing, but it was also very much One Piece. It was very goofy. It was very funny. It was very much over the top ridiculousness. This one, unlike anything else in One Piece, truly felt horror themed. Like this one was just, and it was so damn well done. The original characters in this were pretty good. I liked Briefs. He was an interesting, fun character, and you did really feel for him. The family was just exceptionally likable. And I swear the girl has to have hockey. That has to be observation hockey. Like she says at the end that she just has really adept hearing, but it's like she wouldn't necessarily know what hockey is. So it's like, of course she's gonna say that. But the way it's presented is practically identical to how Isa uses hockey in the Skypiea arc, or as she knows it since they're in Skypiea as mantra, but it is observation hockey. It's pretty much identical to Isa in the Skypiea arc, so it's like it's very clear that that's what's going on here. Um, whether intentionally or not, I don't know if this movie came out before or after Skypiea or even during. I don't know. Um, it came out in 2005, I believe I saw it said, but that doesn't help me for like when Skypiea and everything came. Plus, of course, you have to count the manga and everything too. But I even like the villains. Like Baron Omatsuri was very interesting. Like especially once you start to figure out his story, and he actually becomes kind of tragic. Like again, as I said, it doesn't excuse his actions. He's still very much a bad guy. He's still very much at fault for all of this stuff and for the deaths of who knows how many. Like honestly, probably thousands upon thousands of people. Like over because he set all the arrows that were making up the giant flower on the mountaintop, the fake lily, because the real one was on his shoulder the entire time. Um, all those arrows, he said, each one was a day he spent in mourning after the death of his nakama, after the death of his crew. And that was a shit ton of arrows, like a shit ton. The 365 days in a year, there's been years and years of arrows worth there for sure. So he's been doing this for most likely years and has probably done this to a shit ton of crews. So it's like it's wild. And on top of that, you have like the other crew members as well. Like you had Muchi Goshi or whatever his name was. I don't remember at the moment, but he was fun. He's kind of a lush, goofy dude, but not an unlikable one. You had the Kappa guy, the DJ Gappa, I think his name was. Um, he was insanely funny. Like I was kind of just shocked watching him because it's like this guy's great. I want to see more of him. I like the entire joke on how he takes everything personally, and it's just like he's funny, he's ridiculous. I like the entire thing with his ability. I presume that ability was supposed to be born from the Baron's memories and all as well, with the entire taking off like the kappa plates and everything and throwing them and making them explode. Maybe, but I don't know for sure. Um, but yeah, it's like and they're the four old wise frog characters. And it's like they were interesting in themselves. Just so much of this movie was really interesting. Even the games they were doing, like the goldfish catching, the ring toss race, all of it was just so vastly interesting. I'm trying to avoid the light. I'm sorry. It was just so vastly interesting and exciting, and I was hooked into every moment of this film. I was just really into this. like I've seen plenty of the One Piece films by this point. Um, this one I would probably say is one of my favorites, honestly. Like the story, the themes, the just the art and animation, the direction. I mean, it's so unique and so interesting, but still very good, and it still feels like One Piece. Like even the really heavy horror aspects in the final act of the film, it still felt like One Piece. Like I was never taken out of it to where I thought like, oh no, this is just a sudden tone shift, and now it doesn't even feel like One Piece anymore. I never felt that. I never felt that. Like I believed this was still One Piece, and not just because of seeing Luffy and the other characters on screen. It still again felt very much like this series that I've loved for so long, and that's impressive to have such a different style in terms of direction, art, and animation, even the tone of the film. To have such a different style to it and still feel like the same thing is really impressive. It's just legitimately very impressive. I'm gonna see if I can lean forward a little bit. Maybe that'll help. I'm really sorry about the lighting, and I'm sorry also for cutting away in the reaction and everything. Here. There was a knock at the door. The dog started barking her ass off because of it. Um, just some door-to-door salesperson. No big deal. Nothing to worry about. But yeah, it's like I obviously had to get that. But yeah, it's like I'm sorry for that too. But either way, this film was very good, like very good. I really enjoyed this. I had a blast watching it. I really liked the style. Mara Hosoda did a fantastic job. And I'm not saying that I would want One Piece to necessarily be in this style again or more often or whatnot. I definitely think this is one of those cases where it's better that this is kind of like a one off thing, that this is not the norm, because it allows it to feel more special that way. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. Um, and sorry I was being so quiet for a lot of it. I was just enthralled. But yeah, I really, really love this one. And I think it was a great way to end off One Piece week. So tell me in the comments below what you thought of One Piece the movie, Baron Omatsuri, and the Secret Island. And thank you so much for tuning in to another One Piece week. Tomorrow on Sunday, we will be getting to Ruby. It's a day late, but hey, better late than never. And it's only a day, right? So we'll be getting to that. And then this next week, we'll all be going back to normal. There will be no One Piece this next week because we spent an entire week on nothing but One Piece. So we're going to take this next week off of One Piece. Makes sense, right? Either way, like I said, tell me your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.